Hey guys, and welcome to an episode of All Around Hockey, the YouTube channel for the All Around Hockey fan. Today we continue on with our series looking at all 32 NHL teams, previewing for the upcoming 2026-2027 season. The off season's kind of died down a little bit. In fact, we're getting a little bit close to training camp now, starting here in a couple weeks. And the episode today, we are going to look over another Original Six team, the New York Rangers. We did the Islanders in our last video, the Devils in the video before that, and now we are on the Rangers. So this should be an interesting video. They made some pretty big moves this offseason, and maybe shored up that first unit a little bit more, shored up the defense a little bit more, but could they still be in line for another big move or two? We're going to look at that. We use Puckpedia here to look over the rosters, how they're currently constructed. Then we go to Hockey Reference, check out the stats from last season, and finally end on Puck GM, in which we look at other possible moves, play a little bit of a GM role for the team. Some people like the moves we make, some people don't. But it's just a little bit of fun that we have here on this channel. And I hope you guys have really been enjoying these videos because I've been enjoying making them. So, like we said, we're going to look at the Rangers today, and the big acquisition they had this season was getting Pavel Dorofeyev from the Vegas Golden Knights. They, of course, traded for him at the draft. Could be a very big pickup for them. They signed him to a nice 7-year contract, $11 million per season. Then they got Mika Zibanejad, Alexis Lafreniere, Gabe Perreault, JT Miller, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Willie Culley. I got Lava, Radish, Cartier, Joe Veleno, and Chemler there lines out the fourth line according to Puckpedia. Then we go to Gavrikov, who, of course, was their big acquisition last offseason. Adam Fox, whose name's been a little bit in the rumors lately. Then they brought in Elias Pettersson, Marcus Pettersson, not Elias Pettersson, from Vancouver for a first-round pick. Sean Durzi, who they brought in the big Vincent Trocheck trade with Utah. They got Robertson and Braden Schneider, whose name's been a lot in the rumor mills lately. And they have Matthew Rempe, Uro Vekanainen, and Eero there riding out there. Kind of the press box, healthy scratch type guys. Go over to goaltending. They got, of course, one of the best goaltenders in the league, and Igor Shesterkin still there. And then they brought in Jonas Korpisalo as a nice, sneaky, pretty solid pickup for them. Maybe besides Dorofeyev, probably their best pickup they've had this offseason. Durzi was a good pickup as well. But, getting Jonas Korpisalo in as a really solid backup now with Igor. If he has some injury problems every once in a while, you feel pretty comfortable going with Korpisalo for that little stretch. Now that Jonathan Quick has officially retired from the National Hockey League. So we're going to go over here, check out the stats from last season. It was not the best season in the world for the Rangers. Again, they ended up with a 34, 39, and 9 record with 77 points, finishing last in the Metropolitan Division. Of course, they got Mike Sullivan there as their head coach. They ended up with 235 goals for, which was 23rd best in the league, and 249 goals against, which was 15th best in the league. I was right in the middle of the pack there for goals against. Go down here. We're going to look over all the stats from last season, which was led by Mika Zibanejad, who ended up with 78 points, 34 goals, and 44 assists. Number 2 is Artemi Panarin, who, of course, it's not the best, but Artemi Panarin's your number 2 best goal scorer because he was traded to the Los Angeles Kings at the deadline last season. Alexis Lafreniere, though, tied him in points with 24 goals and 33 assists. Maybe he's starting to find that little touch that made him the first overall pick. Probably still not what Rangers fans were probably hoping out of him, but a really solid season nonetheless from him. JT Miller is the captain there. He ended up with 53 points, 17 goals, 36 assists. Vincent Trocheck, of course, like we said, has been traded to Utah. Adam Fox was 6th on the team with points with 9 goals and 44 assists, 53 points in 55 games played. I think probably maybe the most underrated defenseman in the National Hockey League, in my opinion, is Adam Fox. He won the Norris Trophy for a reason. He's one of the top defensemen in the National Hockey League. A lot of people don't give him the credit that he deserves. And even probably was a little bit of a snub on the gold medal team for USA. William Culley there, 20 goals, 18 assists, 38 points, maybe a little bit more production you're hoping from him. He's a young, scoring big power forward winger. Vladislav Gavrikov had a good year his first year, 14 goals, 21 assists, 35 points. Usually the production you're going to get off Gavrikov. Gabriel Perreault, 12 goals, 15 assists for 27 points. That's somebody they're very excited about and see what he can do. And then Noah Leva finishes out the top 10 with 9 goals and 15 assists and 24 points. A pretty good season from, more than likely a bottom 6 pairing centerman, but, it still might not be too bad. And then Taylor Radish is there at number 11. Go down here, we can check out the goaltendings from last year. Like we said, Quick has officially retired. He had 24 games started, had an 891 save percentage and a 309 goals against average for 2 shutouts. Then they went with Igor Shesterkin. He, of course, had 51 games played. Is obviously the number one choice there. 19 losses after 25 wins and a 912 save percentage and a 250 goals against average. Only finished 7th in Vezina Trophy voting, which is kind of a surprise there. But, still one of the top 5 goalies in the National Hockey League between him, Hellebuyck, Vasilevsky, and Sorokin then with the Islanders. And then a couple other starts there from Spencer Martin and Dylan Garrard there. Both of them I don't think have returned to the team going into this upcoming season. So we're going to look over here. Like we said, this is our Puck GM where we kind of play the role of general manager for this teams that I've been going over. This case it's going to be the New York Rangers, so it will be Chris Drury in this case. And hopefully make a little bit better moves than he's made recently, according to Rangers fans, as they've been really wanting him to be gone lately. So like we said, kind of looking at the roster, how it's currently constructed in the Metropolitan Division, like we said, what we've been saying in the last few videos, since we've gone over a couple teams in the Metropolitan Division with the Devils and the Islanders. Washington's gotten better. Carolina obviously won the Cup last season. Islanders, kind of, we'll see how they do with the Boers, the coach now. Same thing with the Devils. Maybe still think they're in line to make a big move. That hasn't happened yet, and they might not happen until the deadline. So we'll see how if they can bounce back from their kind of iffy season. Columbus still has a lot of question marks to be answered at this point in the offseason. And then Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, the 2 Pennsylvania teams, both made the playoffs last season. Could they repeat that? We'll see. I definitely think Philadelphia is a young up-and-coming team that's looking to make that big jump ahead of other teams like the Rangers. So you kind of look at the team going into this season. Adam Fox was hurt for a big portion of last season. I think even Shesterkin even got hurt for a little bit there, so kind of really hurt their chances of making a run at it. And I think the biggest problem is they have really good top 6 scoring, especially now that you had Pavel Dorofeev. I mean, if you wanted to have Alexis Lafreniere there, you could definitely make for a really solid unit, or you could even move Dorofeev over to the right side and have Gabriel Perreault up there with Mika Zibanejad and create a really solid first unit. I think this is a really good first unit. I think this is a unit that's going to score. Maybe they go with Lafreniere there just to kind of see if they can unlock a little bit more of that potential that they've been kind of missing since they drafted him. JT Miller's a pretty solid center still. Maybe he's best suited for the wing, though, as he's getting a little bit older. And maybe you could then move Perreault over to the second side. So maybe you're kind of looking at a second-line center that they could possibly still add. Like I said, I think they like Noah Leba, and, they have some guys coming up here in a couple of years. They got Cole Bourdon in that trade with Utah. Excellent pickup. Probably not somebody who's going to be playing up this year. Liam Greentree had a huge year in the OHL last season. He's got a high ceiling. I think they're really hoping for some big things from him. I still think they like a little bit of Bryce McGonigal-Barker. And maybe as a potential, bottom 6 scoring depth guy. And then they also drafted Albert Smeets with the 5th overall pick. And so they have some guys coming up here soon that could provide a little bit more. Dylan Garrard is on the team still going into this upcoming season. And so you kind of look at that. They have some guys that are coming up that they're probably want to create a little bit of more roster space for them. So we could look at a couple of trades here. I think their biggest thing is they're going to need some scoring touch, especially in those bottom 6. So we'll kind of look at how we can help increase that a little bit going into next season. So what we'll do is we're going to go over here, make some trades to start things off. And we're going to start off with a pretty big one here that we have in mind. We're going to go over to the Seattle Kraken and possibly look at a big trade with them in which we could get a Shane Wright in here. I think that's a really good guy to come in. Probably can go into this thing and help out the rebuild stage, going into the new era stage. Maybe somebody you can maybe unlock a little bit more potential out of. And then I would maybe even try to see if we can't even bring in Jared McCann in this trade. Jared McCann, we can look at his numbers from last season. He's going to last year of his contract. He had 40 points in 52 games. So somebody who is having a hard time staying on the ice every once in a while, but still provides a really nice scoring touch and really screams a Ranger, if I'm being completely honest. So I definitely think if they don't make this trade, which obviously is probably a good chance they don't make this type of trade because this is just me thinking out loud. But I definitely think that that's somebody they could maybe make a run at next offseason as a potential guy to bring in to help out with more of that scoring production. And then I think what we're going to do, a big person that I think would help start this trade would be Braden Schneider going back in return. I think Schneider's got that right side defensive acumen that Seattle's probably looking for. A good young solid defenseman. As we can look at his numbers, he's only 24 years old, and there's a lot of rumors of him possibly being on the move now. Now that it's kind of gotten a little backlogged there, and now that they drafted Albert Schmeetz as well, definitely think that they have guys that are probably ready to take that jump up soon too. And I think even like a Scott Morrill could even come up and play for them next season if they were to trade a Braden Schneider and probably provide just as much production as Schneider does, if not a little bit more. Because Braden Schneider really shouldn't be playing as in the bottom third. And I definitely think he could come in and be a top four defenseman for them right off the bat. Now, of course, you're getting Jared McCann along with Shane Wright in this trade, so you're probably going to have to give up a little bit more in this trade. And I think somebody who would definitely interest the Seattle Kraken in this type of a trade, let me find him, is Will Cully. He kind of screams like a Seattle Kraken type of player. Another young scoring forward who I think could provide a little bit more trade value for them in this type of a deal, especially if they're trading a McCann. Even though McCann's going on the last year of his contract, so is Braden Schneider. And Will Cully's an RFA too. And, a couple of years ago, we were looking at Will Cully. Possibly they were having a lot of hard times even signing him a couple of years ago with the Rangers. So do they want to do that again? Maybe not. And then, I think you could possibly add another pick in here to kind of make things a little bit more evened out, I guess, a little bit for both sides. Maybe you can trade like your third round pick for next season or your third round pick in this season. Or you could even trade like a little bit more like a younger prospect. E.J. Emery is another guy who they really like. That we're looking at them. They have some other guys here that they probably really like. But maybe you can trade like a Spencer Bowes in this type of a deal too to kind of to get that going. And so we'll make this trade here for both teams. I think that provides really good scoring depth, and it even clears up a little bit of cap space. As we see, we're now at $5 million in cap space, which we will use that cap space to add a little bit more scoring depth as well. Another potential trade that's been a little bit rumored lately. We'll see if it happens or not. Now, if you were to trade that third round pick in exchange, you could probably get another pick back in return in this trade. So we will call the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think their big thing is they want to pair up the Radish brothers together. And Taylor Radish is on the last year of his contract. I think you could end up getting a good pick in this. So we'll say we can get the 5th round pick in this year's upcoming draft since we traded our 3rd round pick in this upcoming draft. And we'll trade for that. And now you get a 5th round pick for Taylor Radish, which might not be a bad move for the team. And now they got 2 5th round picks to go along with the fact they don't have their 4th round picks. They have 2 3rd round picks and then a 2nd round pick there that they traded with Boston going in this upcoming season. So that could provide a little bit more draft capital for you, especially, you're probably not getting a whole lot for Taylor Radish. Again, though, clears up a little bit more cap space, which we're going to go use now. So we are going to go and I think somebody that makes a lot of sense for this team, especially if they're looking for bottom 6 depth scoring, would probably be an Eli Tolvanen. So I'm going to lock him up here at a about $3.4 million contract. We'll say for about 4 years. Time into that contract. You could even try to maybe even see if you can give him like a like a 4x3 contract maybe. That could maybe even help out a little bit more, maybe give him a little bit more since you have the cap space now. And now we got a kind of a little bit of an interesting way we can finagle this roster around a little bit. What we're going to do here, we're going to put Jared McCann on the second unit now, move Gabe Perreault over to the right side. Or you can even do this and have Alexi Lafreniere now. You have a really solid second unit to go along with a really strong first unit. And then you can maybe put Eli Tolvanen over here, have Shane Wright as your third line center who can jump up to a second line center if need be. And then you can have Oliver Bjorkstrand. I think that creates a really good top nine going into next season. Or even this could be trade deadline type stuff we could be looking at moving as well. Maybe you could send Yaroslav Shamlar down to create the little bit more of a roster spot. And I think you could probably call up Scott Morrow to come up and play just for a little bit. I don't think you want to give it to Albert Schmeetz right off the bat, although that is a real possibility that they could just go and have Albert Schmeetz be the guy up next season. I think if any big-time defenseman is ready to do it, it's probably him. He's a big body, big bruising defenseman is the reason he was the 5th overall pick. I think they're going to have a lot of fun with him in the future. However, I don't know if he necessarily makes it the roster right off the bat, so I will call up Scott Morrow to be that 6th defenseman to add to that lineup. And then you also still have Euro Vakanainen in there. Matthew Rempe is currently injured, so he could definitely go into and be the right winger there on those type of lines if you wanted to do that. And then, you could have Noah Leba be the 4th line center, maybe move Veleno out to the wing. So I think this creates pretty good units all around. A little bit more scoring production now from the bottom 6, which I think is something they're going to be really hoping for. I think Eli Tolvanen makes a lot of sense for this team. Like I said, maybe you could do 4x3 if you want to give them a little bit more in cap and maybe lessen the years a little bit. Shane Wright could be an interesting pickup for them. So it could Jared McCann, who maybe you get him a year early, because like I said, I definitely think that's somebody who just kind of screams somebody that the Rangers are going to be targeting next offseason. Maybe that's just my opinion, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, Rangers fans, if you like these moves or not. Like I said, really been enjoying making these videos. Next video is going to be on the Ottawa Senators, I believe. And so we look forward for that one. And I hope you guys have been enjoying these videos. If you like these videos, please leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to All Around Hockey, the YouTube channel for the All Around Hockey fan. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.